recording. Hi everyone, today Salesforce Consulting Admin Training Day 21. Let's go ahead and see what are we going to learn. So today our focus is on to the, quickly we'll go through the what is the previous session. Then we'll talk about the use case. Then we'll talk about the what is the fields and what are the different type of fields we have. What is the standard fields and what is the rename, tabs and label, how to use it, and what is the custom field, and how to what are the Gartner limits on the fields, and what are the ways to list out all the fields. And then we'll talk about the data types. And after that, we will go through the each data type that we wanted to discuss. So we'll go through the each one of them, then we'll have an interview questions. So quickly, what did we learn in last class?
Objects,
So we have
standard objects, custom objects,
tabs, standard objects, tabs,
schema builder.
right. So we have seen objects, what are the standard objects, what are the custom objects, and what is the tab, how to create a tab for the custom object. And we have seen the different options in the object. So those all things which we have seen. Today, our focus is onto the fields. So let's take a use case. So let's assume that we have a table, and in this table, I wanted to store employee data. In this table, I wanted to store the employee data. So as I'm going to store employee information in this table, so I'm going to say this table name is nothing but employee object. This table name is employee object. This table name is employee object. Now, in this employee object table, okay, in this employee object, I wanted to store, let's assume that I wanted to store the employee information, like what is the employee name and employee ID, everything I wanted to store. So whenever we create an employee object, what are the fields? How many fields that are automatically created by the Salesforce?
5.
5 fields that are going to created by Salesforce. So those are ID. What are those?
ID created by
last modified
by created date, last modified, created by.
ID, name, owner, created by, last modified by.
Right. So assume that right now in this employee object, I wanted to store certain information which are related to employee. So that means I need to divide this table into the columns, right? So if I wanted to store 5 fields, then it has to be divided this table into I need to add 5 columns. So first one, which I'm going to say is, so first one is, this is ID. First one, I'm going to store ID. Then we have a customer name, employee name, and then created by, last modified by. Created by when this employee record is created, when was last modified. So these information, these fields, I'm going to create it in the table. So by default, whenever I create it, this table is getting created. Whatever this table is there, this table is getting created. Now I wanted to add additional field. I wanted to add additional field because right now, assume that this data is not enough. whatever the data right now in the table, it's not enough for me to understand what is the employee, because I need to know employee, when did he started working on this company, what is the employee PAN number, and what is the employee date of birth. So employee when he started, and what is the salary, and what is the percentage, all the data that I wanted to store in this table. So these 5 fields, what are the 5 fields are there? These 5 fields will not give much information about employee. I need to create a few more details, right? So based on the requirement in the real time. So based on the requirement, if you feel that existing standard fields are not going to fulfill our requirement, let's suppose I wanted to capture the employee salary. Now I do not have a field to capture the salary here. I do not have field to capture the salary. So that means I need to extend my functionality in Salesforce. So whenever we see the requirement which cannot be fulfilled by these standard fields, what we will do is we will create additional one more column. Here one more column will be created using the what are the data that I wanted to capture related to the employee. Let's assume that I wanted to capture the employee salary or a employee PAN number. So we have a PAN number. So in India, we have PAN number or a ID, Aadhaar ID or Emirates ID in Dubai. So I wanted to capture that detail. So if I wanted to capture the details, I need to go with my own field, because Salesforce does not have that field. By default, Salesforce does not provide. So in order to extend my functionality based on the requirement, so what we are going to do is we are going to create a field. So here the columns, which are the columns ID, name, created by, last modified, owner, and then PAN number. What are these? These all are called as a field. So field is nothing but a column. So field is nothing but a column. So object is nothing but table. So these all are called field. So ID field, name field, created by field, last modified by field, owner field, PAN number field. So what are the columns is nothing but it's a field. Now let's go ahead and see that. So fields. So field represents a column inside the table. Field represents the column inside the table, the one which we have seen, which is used to store the application business specific data. Why do we use a field? Because I wanted to store the employee PAN number, because I wanted to store the employee salary data. So if we wanted to store a data in a specific format, then we use a field. Field is used to store the application or a business specific data. So Salesforce provided the below 2 types of fields. One is standard fields and the second one is custom fields. Salesforce provided 2 fields. One is a standard field and second one is a custom field. So we know what are the standard fields. By default, whenever we create an object, so custom object, whenever we create it, that time it is going to give us the 5 standard objects. For the 5 standard fields, right? For the standard objects, if you are going with the standard objects, we can know that these fields are wherever I see that without underscore C, that means these are standard fields, right? These are the standard fields. For the custom objects, by default, Salesforce is providing 5 standard fields. Now, standard fields these are ready-made fields provided by the Salesforce by default for each object, like a ID, name, owner, created by, last modified by. These are by default created by the Salesforce whenever we create a custom object. Now, standard fields, label name. What are the label name is there? For example, if I go to the account, okay, if I go to the account, this account name is a standard field. Account name is a standard field. Now, if I switch to the sales application, let me switch to the sales application. If I switch to the sales application, for example, if I'm going to any account. So right now it is showing as a tab name is showing as a account. And if I click on a new button, what is happening right now? I can see whatever the field names are there, the label names, whatever the field label names are there, the same name I'm able to see here, account name. Account name is a standard field label name, rating, phone number. These are the standard fields. But in case if I wanted to change the standard field name or a standard object name, I wanted to change here standard object name. Here it says account, but I wanted to show it as a customer. So that means my custom object name should be a customer, and here field name should be the customer name, and this is customer rating, and phone number is nothing but a contact number. So I wanted to change these. So if I wanted to change the standard field label names, we know that we cannot delete the standard fields. We cannot delete it or we cannot modify anything. But we have an option to modify the field label. You can modify the field label as well as you can modify the object label name. That flexibility we have. So standard fields label name can be changed, but we cannot remove the standard fields from the object. How to change the label name, whether it is a standard object or a standard field, we have an option called rename tabs and label. We have an option called rename tabs and label. So by using the rename tabs and label, what we can do is we can rename the standard object tab and we can modify the standard field label. We can modify the standard field label. Now navigation steps are set up, search for a rename tabs and label. Then you will see this screen. Now here, in case if you wanted to modify the account, so as we have discussed the use case, now account, I wanted to change it to the customer, and the account name, I wanted to change it to the customer name. Rating is customer rating. Phone is contact number if I wanted to change. So let's go ahead and change that. Let's go to the home. Tab, rename tabs and label. Rename tabs and label. Now you can see here all the standard tabs. Whatever the standard objects we have, everything we can see here in the standard tab. Now when you click on edit, so what it is going to show? It is going to show me the first screen. Do you want to change any name here? So basically it is going to ask me what is the name of the object. So if I say here, instead of account, I wanted to show their account, customer. I wanted to show customer. I do not want to change the plural name. Let it be there because only reflect that should happen on the user interface. When user is logged into the Salesforce, I want my user to see, or whoever is logging into my internal team, they should be able to see customer here instead of an account. I wanted to show them as a customer. So that's the reason I'm just changing the singular name here, customer, and click on it next. Okay, it's already there. Let me see. Okay, we have created a customer's object. Let's change it to client. Client, click on a next. Now, next thing is that account name should be the client name. Yes, it is automatically changed it. And few other fields are automatically it's changed, because whenever we are changing the label name, wherever we have a account, prefix with account, what are the field label name that has a prefix with account, those will be automatically gets updated. Now, whereas a rating, it's not updated. So what I'll do here, instead of a rating, I'll say client rating. And here, instead of phone number, I'll say contact number. Contact number. So those are the, I'm changing it. So only similar name I'm changing. And click on a next. Save button. First screen is what is the object name. Second screen is in case if you wanted to change the field label name. That is the second screen. So let's refresh this. Click on this support group. Still it did not apply. Okay, so we did not change the plural name. It still shows the accounts. So what I'll do, I'll change this to the clients. Click on next, save, refresh. Again, one more time, refresh. It's updated, but I cannot see here. So here you can see in the rename tab, what is the tab name? So when I click on the edit, it says the tab equal to clients. So before it was a accounts, right now it is updated to the clients. Okay, it might be delaying that. So everywhere, wherever I see the account, everywhere it is changed to the client, and this is client name. And here rating is changed to the client rating, and the phone number is changed to contact number. So this is the option in case if your client does not want a standard field label, and if they wanted to change these label names, so the better option is to go to the rename tabs and label. Rename tabs and label. So just go there and click on a next. Which are the fields the client is asking to modify it, just update that. So this is about the rename tab and label. In case if you wanted to reset back, I wanted to remove all of this. I don't know what was there here. I don't know what was there here. I don't remember, like a phone number. So here it is contact number. I don't know whether it was a phone or a different number. I'm not sure. So if client says that I do not want those information, so can you just move back to the original one? So just say here reset. Are you sure the tab name and field labels will be reset to the defaults? So click on a reset. So what will happen? It is going to reset. So whatever is there previously, everything it is going to reset. So now click on a next button. Now if you see phone number, it is showing a phone. Rating. So if you wanted to revert back, that is an option. Now this option, we can have it only on the standard tabs, whereas custom tab, if you click on a custom one. So this is, I'm clicking on the customer. This is a custom object, right? When you click on a edit option on the custom object, you cannot see the second screen. Only the first screen is available. Because custom object, when we are creating a custom object, almost all the fields are custom fields. If you want, you can go ahead and modify the custom fields directly going into the object manager, and there we have a fields and relationship. You can modify it. So that's the reason the option, the second screen option is not available for the custom object. Only if you wanted to change the label, standard label, name that are in the standard object, the second screen will be visible to only the standard objects. Now the next one is a custom fields. Now custom fields are the Salesforce developer or a administrator, anybody. Could be a BA or could be administrator, could be a developer, anybody who is working on the project, they can add additional fields on the object based on the client requirement. Now, if I wanted to add additional field of the PAN number, I can go ahead and add it. If there is a client requirement, if you wanted to add, anybody can add the field. When we are adding the field, let's take an example. Let's say that. So let me open the paint. Now here. Are you guys still with me? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, Swapna.
Yeah, sir.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Any questions so far? Okay.
No, ma'am.
So right now, we have an object. The example for object is we are supposed to create an employee object. The first scenario that we have discussed, use case. So employee object, when we create an employee object, that means a table. So API name of this table is employee __ C, because this is a custom object. And for the custom object, by default, fields are created: ID, name, owner, created by, and last modified by. So these are the fields created by Salesforce, standard fields, right? These are the fields, these are the standard fields created by the Salesforce whenever we create a custom object. And the second one, what is going to happen whenever we create a custom object? The second one is a tab. The second one is a tab that we are going to choose. Do we want a tab to be available on the Salesforce? That means if we want clients or a user to interact with the Salesforce, if they wanted to enter the data in this table, do we need a user interface screen or not? Right, that is decided here, user interface. So tab is a user interface. Whenever user click on that, so whenever user open up the Salesforce, they will see the object name, which is a plural name, which is employees. They will see the plural name of the object, employees. And then the third one is, definitely we are going to have a business logic on top of it. If we wanted to make any modification or anything we wanted to do, then we have to implement a business logic on the employee object. on the employee object. This is all about whenever we create an object, first step, second step, which are automatically created based on the checkboxes, right? For second one is based on the checkbox, it will automatically create the tab. And third one is a business logic, which we have to write. Now, whenever we create a table, so what is going to happen here? Now, there is a table that's get created. Now, here the table is created. In the table, we have a fields. We have a fields. ID, name, last modified by, created by. Right, so right now we have, this is the employee table. This is in the database. In the database, we have the employee object. And first one is the ID. And we have a name, owner, created by, and last modified by. Right. So this is on the database. Whereas in the user interface, when I say user interface on the Salesforce. On Salesforce, what all we can see whenever user click on an employee object, what all they can see? What are the fields they can see?
Name.
Employee name they can see, and owner field is read only. Now only they can see these two information, and what they will do is user will enter the details here and click on a submit button. We'll have a submit button, save and cancel button will be there. Save and cancel button. Whenever the user enters the information, and if we wanted to store it into the database, now user will come and open the tab, click on the tab and click on the new button. Then the screen gets open and it shows only the employee name, and user enters the employee name and I click on a save button. Now, from the user interface, if I wanted to push the data to the employee object, right? Based on, assume that we are doing some logic or we are implementing it. So based on the logic, that means we have a business logic here. Business logic is between the user interface and database. So whenever the user enter the details, they will pass it to the business logic, and then from the business logic, it will goes to the employee table. Similarly, if we wanted to receive, like once it is saved, now we are clicking on that record. That means the record is created in the, once we click on a save, a record gets created in the Salesforce. And on the Salesforce user interface also, we can see the record, right? On the users, when user click on this account tab, we can say these are the records are created. Now, when I click on the record, so what will happen? It should bring the data from database to the user interface, which is going to happen through the business logic. Now we can see all the data, whatever is stored in the database. Now, let's assume that I wanted to create another field called age. I wanted to create another field called age. So basically, whenever the new employee join in the company, whenever they join in the company, we wanted to capture their age also, which is nothing but their date of birth. So that means I'm going to enter the data here, XYZ person. And I'm created by, last modified by is created by Salesforce. Now age, I'm entering something A, B, C, D, E, F, something I'm entering. But is that the right thing to enter the A, B, C, D, E, F, or some text I'm entering here? Or I'm writing some age in terms of a words. Like I'm writing here 20. But is that a right way to store the information in the age? We know that we have to create a custom field and we need a field to store the age, but this is not the right one. This is not the right way to store the information. So whenever we are creating another column, we should specify. That means we should tell the system what type of a data type it's supposed to be. We should tell the system what type of a data type should this field, or whatever the data is entered by the user or whoever is entering, whenever they enter, what type of a data should be accepted in this column is we have to specify the data type. So that means whenever we are creating any custom field, data type is a must. Specify the data type so that system will also understand that whenever it is getting stored into the database, what type of a data should be stored in each column. We cannot store anything whatever we want. It has to be proper format. The data has to be formatted data. That means whenever we are storing the information, it has to be formatted data in the column or in the field. So that's the reason whenever we wanted to create a field, we need to specify the data type. And how do you do that? If you go to any object, so if you open the account, we have an option called here fields and relationship. If you click on a fields and relationship, and if I wanted to create a new field, for example, age, or I wanted to create a PAN number, some requirement came to add a new field called salary. So that means I need to come to that particular object, which are the object the client is saying it. Select that object, click on the fields and relationship, and click on a new button. When you click on a new button, the first screen that it is going to ask me that choose the data type of the field. What is the data type that you wanted to choose it? Now, based on the requirement, what type of a data is suits for them? Now, client says that I wanted to capture the salary. Now we need to identify if the client wants to capture the salary, which data type should be proper. If I take a text, will it be valid or not? If I take a time, will it be valid or not? So we need to understand this data type first. We need to understand each data type. What is the purpose of the each data type? And when should be using it, and how we are going to use it, what are the limits, everything we are going to see. And today we are going to talk about only the data types. We are not going to talk about the relationship. Okay, so on top, whatever you see, so from auto number to the external lookup fields, this part we are not going to see right now. We are first trying to understand individual data type. From the checkbox or what are the text are there below this. So those we are going to talk about it. Now, before creating a field, now the question might come in the interview, how many fields can I create it? The question they will ask is, okay, we can create these many fields. What are the client says that we can go on creating the fields. If they ask 200, 300, what are the number of fields they ask, we are keep on going, implementing it. But as per the Salesforce standard, what is the limitation? How many custom fields can be created? What is the limitation and how many custom fields can be created? So in developer edition, we can create maximum of 500 custom field per object. Per object. Object in a sense, whatever you take a standard object or a custom object. But the standard fields are does not included here. This is in the developer edition. Now, whereas in the unlimited edition, we can create maximum of 800 custom fields per object. 800 is lot more for the real time. Max we create a 100, that is a too high. 100 custom fields we will create it in the object. So 800 is lot more. 800 is nothing but you have a, if you have created 800 fields in the custom object, means that is a huge product. That's a very big project, which is going on since last 5 years or 10 years. So 800 is very huge. Maximum we will go for only 100, or if not, if still they want, they can go to 150. Now, whenever we are creating the custom field, the question is always raised either by the client or by the internal team. What is the purpose of creating a field? Why are you creating a field? Why can't you go with a different direction? Now, if client says that I need some average time calculation, I need average time calculation, or an internal team said that internal team is nothing but BA or somebody in the architect. They said that for developer, we need a field to identify if it is a more than 24 hours. That means case came. For example, there is a case object, right? So the record came and we need to check, is it already crossed 8 hours or not? Is it? The record is created and still in a new status. Record is still in new status and nobody has taken the case yet. Now we need to check whether record is created 8 hours back. This is for the developers. This is not for the client. If he wanted to check whether it is 8 hours crossed or not, if I'm going to create a field to understand whether it is capturing it is more than 8 hours fields or 8 hours or not, then the question will be raised by the almost few members, architect or a client. They will ask that what is the purpose of creating this field? Why you need it? So always have a proper reason why you need it. Cannot you implement through the coding? You cannot analyze it or you cannot implement through the coding in order to understand the time, average time, or if it is more than 8 hours, can you do it in the code? So we have to always have a reason if you are creating a field for yourself. This is very important in the real time. We cannot create whatever the fields that we want. Yeah, so this is the real time 800 custom fields per object. Now, what are the ways to list out the fields? And that means what are the ways to view the fields? That means we can view the fields in 3 ways. We can view the fields in Object Manager. We can view the fields in Schema Builder. If you go to the Schema Builder, so go to the Home, go to the Schema Builder. Click on the Schema Builder. So when you click on a Schema Builder, you can see what are the fields are there. Even when you click on the elements, you can, this elements is to create a new field. But if you wanted to view the fields, you can view all the fields by dragging the object. For example, if you select the activity, All right, asset. If you select the asset, if you wanted to view what are the fields are there, you can view all the fields, right? What are the fields are there? Everything you can view it in the schema builder. And another one is developer console. In the developer console, as we have seen last time, when you click on a file, open and select the object, and then click on the account object or which are the object that you wanted to see the fields, select that and click on it, open, so that you can see all the fields within the object. These are the three ways which we can view the fields. Now coming back to the data types. Data types, as we have discussed that, first thing is that whenever we are creating the field, we need to understand the different data type. Now, data types are, while creating a field in the object, we have to select the data type first. Now, data type describes what type of a data or what type of a values can be held inside the field. Can be held inside the field, and how much length the data should be stored in that field. And also Salesforce provided below data types. There are different data types which we have right now. We have a text. We have a text area data type, text area long data type, text area rich data type, and text area encrypted data type, checkbox data type, date data type, time data type, date time data type, number data type, percentage data type, currency data type, URL data type, email data type, pick list data type. In the pick list, we have another one, multi-select pick list data type, text encrypted data type, geolocation data type, and auto number data type. Total 19 data types we have, including the text encrypted. So there is a one which is a text encrypted. So total we have a 19 data types. So we are going to go further to understand each data type. What is text? What is text area? What is text area long? What is text area rich? And what is text area encrypted? Now the first one which we are going to see is text data type. Any questions so far? Okay. So text data type is, for example, I wanted to store employee father name. I wanted to store another one here, employee father name. Employee father name. So if I wanted to store this, if I wanted to create this, so what should be the data type? Usually father name is alphabet, right? Should be usually alphabet. So that is fine. It is a text which I can understand. But assume that I have something. Let's take a PAN number. PAN number. Now I wanted to store the PAN number. So PAN number is a alphanumeric. PAN number is alphanumeric. So it does have something. So some number like this. So it has a alphanumeric. Alphanumeric. That means this whatever the field that I'm creating it, whatever this field is there, this column, this has to be this field or this column should accept alphabetic as well as the numeric plus numeric. It should accept both of them. It should accept both of them. And what is the length of it? Length is 10. PAN number length is 10. If somebody is entering more than 10 digit, then we should throw an error. That means we should not accept it. Sometimes what user does is they will give a space like after A, W, L, then they will give a space and then they will add something like this, right? Space also will consider as a 1 digit in Salesforce. Space also will consider 1 digit in Salesforce. So in case if they are entering like this more than numbers, right? As soon as it hit the 10 digit, the last number they cannot enter. Now they have to adjust their space and then only the space will be appearing here to enter some number. So I need to limit the PAN number length to 10 digit and which should be accepted alphanumeric. We should be accepted alphanumeric. So for that, we need to choose the text data type. For that, we need to choose text data type. So text data type allows to store alphanumerical value. It will allow alphanumerical values along with the special characters in case if there is any special characters like SSN number or some numbers will be there which has some special characters, right? So if you wanted to store the special characters also, which is possible using the text data type. So text data type allows the alphanumeric value along with the special characters. The maximum length by default Salesforce is giving 255. By default, Salesforce is providing 255 maximum length. Now, do we need here 255 length here to store the PAN number? Do we need 255 length? Do we need 255 characters length to store the PAN number?
No.
No.
No. So we just needed 10 digit where the user can enter. So that's the reason we have a different properties whenever we are creating a field. We have a different properties. What are those properties? First one is a field label. Field label is nothing but what is the label that you wanted to show it on the user interface. That means as soon as we add here the PAN number, right? Whenever we add a PAN number, what will happen on the user interface? It shows the PAN number, and then we can, the text box is here. So this is like it is going to show. Now, if I do not give the label name, if I don't give the label name, this will not display. But the field will be displayed like this. But the user able to understand here what data needs to be entered? They cannot understand what data needs to be entered in this field. So that's the reason we have to always give the field label. What is the label that we wanted to show it here? What is the label that we wanted to show there? So field label is nothing but this property is used to specify the label or a static text to be visible on the user interface. And the next one is a field name or an API name or a developer name. Few members says it's an API name, few members says it's a developer name, few members says it's a field name. It's a field name. So field name is nothing but it's for the, like if I'm creating the PAN number, right? This is my label name. Whereas my field name will be PAN underscore, wherever the space is there, it's underscore, and then at the end underscore C. So this is my field name. So that is the API name. So this property represents the actual column name in the tables. That means in the table, it is going to store like this. So instead of a PAN number, it is going to store PAN number underscore underscore C. It is going to store the PAN number underscore underscore C in the column, in the table. Now the next property is a description. Now whenever we are creating a field, we should specify what is the purpose of this field. Why are we creating this field? Maybe one line description of the purpose of the field. Because if I come back after 2 months or 3 months or 4 months, if I am reviewing what is this field, whether it is capturing, what data it is capturing, if I wanted to understand, if there is a no description, we cannot understand why did we created 4 months back. So it's always good best practices to enter the description whenever we are creating the field. So the description is, this property is used to provide the comments or the description about the field. Purpose of the field. What is the purpose? Why did we create it? What is the data it is going to capture it? And the next one, we have a property called help text. Help text is nothing but it's kind of a tooltip. Now, if you go to the Notepad++, or if you are going anywhere, for example, if you are opening this Notepad++. Now, when you open any application, not only the Notepad++, now here on the menu bar, we have a different icons. There are different icons we have here. Now, if the person is used to Notepad for almost more than 6 months or more than 4 months, they know that what are these icons. But if the person is new to this Notepad++, if the person is new to this application, they don't know how to use it. They don't know what is this icon. If I click, something will happen. People get scared, right? If I click on this, something will happen. If I click on, there is a showing lock, but I don't know what is it. If I click on this, what will happen? So it doesn't give much information here. It doesn't give much information by the icon. Or instead of that, what they are saying is here, as soon as I hover it, there is a tooltip which is coming on the bottom saying that this is a new icon. That means as soon as I click on this, there is a new page that's created. And if I hover on this, it says print. That means this icon is used for the print. Now user will able to understand. This is a self-learning for the users. Okay, this is for the cut. So nobody has to teach them. So as soon as it is over, they can see what is the purpose of these icons. And if I hover this, okay, this is a zoom in and zoom out. And this is synchronized vertical scrolling. Now I see that what is these icons and what is the purpose of it. At least in the one word, they are explaining it. What is this icon, right? So similarly in Salesforce, whenever we are creating a field, and if client needs a help desk, if client needs a help text, like whenever they are hovering on the field, like if I hover on this field, now I need a little more information. Now here it says the contact number, but if I hover this, maybe it should reflect me that actual name of the field, phone number. So contact number, few members may not understand, like a ticker symbol. So few members not able to understand. I need another name to it, but whenever they hover here, it should display the different name, like a help tooltip, kind of a tooltip. Now, if we wanted to implement a tooltip, we have to use the help text property. help text property. This property is used to provide the tooltip text message or an online help to be visible to the users whenever they wanted to understand more information about particular field. Then they can click, highlight that or hover on that particular field. Length. So length is the one. For example, here, let's take a PAN number. So I don't need a 255 character length in order to enter here. So it is a too long, 255 is, I just needed 10 characters. So what I can do is I can mention in this length, what is the restricted number of characters to be allowed in this particular field. Whenever the user is entering, how much length of the character should be allowed. So that is the length property. Then we have another one, required checkbox. Required checkbox. Now, if I say here, if any employee is joining the company, let's assume that they are joining the company CDCA. Whenever they join, new member, new employee join the company, right? We need to must and that is mandatory get the PAN number. Without PAN number, we cannot allow employee ID to be generated. So based on the PAN number, we have to generate an employee ID. So PAN number is mandatory whenever they are creating a record in this table. That means whenever they are entering the employee name here, and clicking on a save button, it should say that this field is mandatory. PAN number is mandatory. Without the PAN number, we cannot accept. So for that, if I want to make PAN number mandatory, then we have to use a field called, required. If I use a required field, then what will happen? If I check that required field checkbox, that means this property used to make the field required. As soon as I check this, that means field is required. Now, in interviews, they will ask a question, what are the different ways that we can make a field mandatory? So far, we know that we can make a mandatory by selecting this checkbox called required checkbox. By selecting this required checkbox, we can make the field mandatory. But they will ask, what are the different ways? I do not want to make the field mandatory while creating the field. While creating the field, I do not want to check this required checkbox. But what are the other options we have? So ways to make a field required. We have Salesforce is provided 5 ways to make field required. The first one is while creating the field, you can select the required checkbox. You can select the required checkbox. And the second one is by using the page layout customization. On the page layout also, we can make field required. That we will see whenever we are seeing the page layout. And the third option is by using the validation rule. By using the validation rule, we can make a field mandatory. And the fourth one is by using the apex trigger while saving the record or while updating the record. If I wanted to make this field mandatory, we can do it through the apex trigger. And the last one is by using the user interface programs, either Visual Force programming or a Lightning Aura or LWC, Lightning Web Component. By using any of these user interface programming, we can make the field as a mandatory. So these are the 5 ways to make a field mandatory. Now the next property is a unique checkbox. Next property is unique checkbox. Unique checkbox is nothing but ideally PAN number is for everybody has a different PAN number. Even for same family also everybody has a different PAN number. If, for example, there are two employees who are joining in the company, First employee gave the PAN number, which is something like some number he has given. Now we entered the data. This data is created in the table, employee table, it's created. Now the second person is providing the PAN number. If the second person also provides the same PAN number, then we should not accept it. We should not accept the user record to create because it's been invalid. Everybody has their own PAN number. So if more than one employee is entering the same PAN number, then we do not want to allow the record to be created. It has to be unique. Unique is nothing but each record should have a different value. Each record should have a different value. So unique checkbox property will make the field value unique. That means it won't allow the duplicate values. They cannot create a record by entering the duplicate PAN number. And the eighth one is an external ID checkbox. External ID checkbox. External ID checkbox is basically this is used for the integration. Integration is nothing but when you are talking to some other application. When Salesforce is talking to the different application. Now I have, this is a Salesforce. Now I have some different application. So there is a different application which is okay, here is a different application. Now, Salesforce is talking to this Salesforce user interface. That means the Salesforce is talking to this third-party application, either for sending a data or receiving a data. For example, right now for this scenario, assume that we are receiving the data from third-party system. Third-party system is nothing but some other application. Some other application, assume that they are using, let's say they are using the .NET. They are using the .NET. Now we wanted to push this data to the Salesforce. That means we need to get the table information, right? They also have a table information. Now that table information we wanted to pull it to the Salesforce. When we are pulling to the Salesforce, we need a field which will store the unique ID. That means, for example, in this data table, there is some ID is there. In their table, there is an ID which says that some number is there. Now we wanted to pull this ID to the Salesforce, which is an external ID. This ID is related to the external ID. So they might be having some ID, not only they call it ID, or they might say a different field name. Okay, so this ID, if I wanted to pull it to Salesforce and I wanted to store this particular one in a specific field, then use the option called external ID checkbox. If I check this property, what will happen? It will allow us to store the third-party system or an external system record inside the field. So that tomorrow, if I wanted to cross-verify the data between the other application and in our application, we can use that external ID and we can refer that ID in their application, and we can provide that ID to their application so that they can give us the information to Salesforce, which can be used as a reference during the integration, either receiving it or sending it, updating in their system or receiving into our system, which can be happen through this external ID checkbox. This is mostly for integration, external system record ID to store. And the next one, we have a auto add to custom report type. Auto add custom report type. This is by default, it is checked. This one was not there earlier. This was added spring 19 onwards. So basically, whenever we create a field, by default, that field was available in the report. We need not to do anything. Right now, Salesforce has given, from last 3 years, they have given an option. In case if you do not want this field to be appearing or adding into the existing reports. For example, there is a report already created on that object, and after 2 years, they came back as saying that, can you create a new other field? And if they says that this field should not appear on the report, the existing report, it should not appear. So what we will do is we will create a report and we will unselect this checkbox. This is a checkbox. This property is a checkbox, which is a auto add to custom report checkbox. So this property is basically, it will, if it is a checked, that means automatically this field is going to add to the existing report types. Whatever the report types we have, we can create a different report types, like a custom report types. If you want to automatically add it, we can check that. By default, Salesforce check that, but in case if you want to uncheck, you can uncheck. And the next one is a default value. Default value. So default value is, let's suppose these two users, who are the two employees are joining, they say that one employee gave the PAN card number. Now other person says that I don't remember the PAN card number. He says, I do not remember the PAN card number. Now we will say then, okay, will you able to get tomorrow the PAN number? Will you able to provide me the details tomorrow? If the person says, yes, I can provide it tomorrow, but right now I do not have. In that case, what we can do is, if I'm not entering any data here, I want by default, I can say that none. By default, I want this value to be added in the text. If I don't enter, by default, automatically system should add the value called none. Or you can say that in progress. So they are yet to provide, or you can say yet to provide. Yet to provide. So this, whatever this is there, should be automatically added by the system. Now, in that case, if you want, then we have to use the default value. Default value. If you add a default value, what will happen? By whenever you are not entering the data, by default, this property is going to show the default value. Now, these options, where can I see? If you go to the object, click on a object account and click on a fields and relationship. If you click on a new, that means I'm creating the new field. And if I select a text and click on a next. So here, field label, length, field name, description, help text, required, unique, external ID, add to custom report, default value. So what are the, on this screen, the fields are there. These fields we are discussing so far. Any questions on this property, text property? What are the properties that we have discussed? Any questions? Okay. In between any network drop, anything happened?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, good. Okay, so that's,
Ma'am,
yeah.
ma'am, have done. Actually, in external ID, what are the data type of external ID, ma'am?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
External ID, when we create the any external ID, what is the data type
Text.
for creating external ID field?
Text. So you will see that this will be appearing on the text. If you create a checkbox, you will not see this field.
That means it not supported to the like time and number, these type of data types, right now.
Right. So usually the IDs are a alphanumeric. So if you select a number and if you go on, so you can see here the number is also available. But if you go for a checkbox, so if I go for a checkbox, click on in next, you cannot see. So that is selected, that is available only for alphanumeric and numeric.
Not for the email like URL like that.
We will
That
see
data
that.
types, right?
We are going through the step by step.
Oh,
We'll see that. So for now, text has that external ID. So usually in the real time, if we wanted to create an external ID field, we will be creating a text field, because that will accept the numbers as well as the alphabet. So whatever the format that third-party system is storing it, we need not to care about much on that, because we can create the text field that will be accepted the special characters also. Any other questions? Okay, next one, we are moving on to the data type called text area. Text area data type. So text area is, let's suppose I have a requirement. I want to capture the employee address. Employee address I wanted to capture. That means, or let's take this. I wanted to capture the employee skills. I wanted to capture employee skills. Like, let's assume that the one employee has a 5 skills. Maybe the person has admin, development, and JavaScript, and HTML, and CSS. So assume that these are the skills the person is. Now I wanted to capture the skills here. Now I do not want to capture like this, or even not like this, comma, admin, comma, dev, comma, JavaScript, not like this. Basically, I wanted to capture step by step, admin, dev, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. So that means it should tell me clearly in each row how many skills are there. I wanted to capture in this way. That means I need to have a field here which is going to show at least 3 rows. At least it should show 3 rows. I need a longer box. Instead of a smaller box here, I need a longer box. That means whatever I'm entering, it should allow, but it should show in a kind of a area wise, where I can see more data of the person. Now, if I'm entering here skills, admin, comma, dev, comma, JavaScript, comma, which will not give a clarity. I need to enter admin in the first line, hit enter, and then development and hit enter JavaScript, HTML, CSS. And out of this, I'm going to ask the employee, which one are you good at? What are your top skills? So if the person says that my top skills are admin, dev, CSS, then first 3 skills should be appearing here. Rest two will be there, but here we'll have a kind of a drop down. It's like a scrolling option will be there. Here I'll be having a scrolling option. So if I scroll this, so what will happen? It is going to give me the other details. What are the other details are there? If I click this and scroll it, other 2 information I can see. Other 2 information I can see. So if you wanted to create that type of a text area, so we have to use a text area. So limit is same for text and text area, limit is same, 255 characters. But only the difference between the text and text area is you have a more visibility in text area, whereas in text only 1 line of visibility, where you have 1 line of visibility. So text area data type, if you are using this data type, it will allow us to store the alphanumeric value along with the special character similar to the text data type up to maximum 255 in multiple lines. That means you can see multiple lines. Now here, if I enter here, the user is having the admin, top 3 skills are admin, dev, and CSS. This should be appearing on top. If I scroll down, then I can see other like a HTML and JavaScript. Right? But as soon as I see the screen, I should be able to see top 3 skills. So if you want to use this type of a scenario, if you want to create a field for this type of a scenario, then we have to use a data type called text area data type. And the properties for the text area data type is field label. And okay, one thing. So whatever we have discussed in the previous one, text data type. Whatever the data type you take, field label, field name, description, help text are common. You create any field label, field name, description, help text, and another one is auto add custom report type. These are common for every field. Every field, these are common. Now I'm not going to go in depth for the every data type. From here, I'm going to just specify the field. What are the properties we have? If I see any property which we do not know, I'm going to explain that. So all the property information, I gave a clarity in the text data type. Now field label, and we know what is the field label that we have discussed. Then we have a field name, which is an API name or a developer name. And the third one is a description. And the help text is a tooltip. So these 4 fields are common. Along with that, there is another field called add to report. What are the report types if you wanted to add the field? So that checkbox is common. But basically these 4 fields are common for every field. Now, the next one is a required checkbox, whether it is a required or not. Now here, auto add to custom report type. This is also similar to the previous one. Now that's all the text area. So only the difference between the text and text area is the area of the visibility. And the next one we are moving on, text area long data type. Text area long data type. So text area long data type. So basically this will allow us to store the character up to maximum of 1,31,072 characters of a content in the address. in the field. For example, right now text and text area is a 255 character limit, right? Sometimes we might need to store more information. Let's say that I need to capture the description of the employee overview. I wanted to capture the employee overview. So if I wanted to capture the employee overview, so sometimes it might go more than 255 characters. Let's say that this is the overview. Or let's say hobbies. So if I wanted to capture the hobbies, then it might go sometimes more than 255 characters. In those scenarios where you have a lot of text, sometimes it might be less text, sometimes it is a more text. In that scenario, what we will do is we will go with text area long, where you will have a more characters, which is 1,31,072 characters of the content in the field. You can add it. And the properties are field label, field name, description, help text. These are common. And the next one is a length. You can specify what is the length of the text area. Now, if you think that, okay, I need 1,000 characters, because sometimes hobbies, the longer might be 1,000 or a 2,000, it might go. So give a limit as a 2,000 or a 3,000 if you think. So give whatever you think, the maximum as per your company requirement or client requirement, what are the length is there, just specify. If it is only more than 255 characters, then only go for the text area long. Similarly, here number of visible lines. So it will be show the how many lines will be visible. Next one is a auto add to custom report type. This is as we have discussed in the text and the default value. That's all about the text area long. Now the next one is a text area rich data type. Text area rich data type. Now text area rich data type is let me log into Gmail. Now in the Gmail, whenever we try to okay, so whenever we open this compose, there is a screen that gets open, right? Okay, so this is the screen that gets open. Now, in this screen, if you observe the bottom part, whatever this is there, I can make a text in different style, bold, italic, underline, or I can make it in a bullet point, and I can attach it. If I wanted to attach anything, I can do attachment. I can add some emojis and drive pictures. Whatever I want, I can add more information. Like it's not a normal text. It's not a normal text. The paragraph is written here. In that paragraph, few words I wanted to highlight, or I wanted to add some images beside that word, or I wanted to give a hyperlink there. As soon as user click on that link, hyperlink.
In Telegram, I can see.
Sorry. When we click on that hyperlink, it should get open to the another link. So there is a paragraph which is written. Now each word I wanted to make it in different style, different font, and some words are underlined. And whenever we click on that one, we click on that highlighted underlined one, it should open another page. So if we wanted to implement this type of a scenario, that means so far we have seen text area long. but that is a plain text. I do not want a plain text. I wanted to customize my text. Some words are in a different color, some words are in italic. I wanted to add images while adding the text. If I wanted to do all those things, then we have to go with rich text area. We have to go with a rich text area. So which is text area rich or rich text area. So this data type allow us to store the character up to maximum of 1,31,072 character content along with the formatting option. You can format it. We can change the font, style, size, color, alignment, insert image, pictures, hyperlink, whatever we wanted to do, we can do that. And the properties of that: field label, name, description, help text, common. And then we have a number of visible lines, how many lines if we wanted to visible. And what is the length of the text area? What is the maximum length that you wanted to keep it? Auto add to custom report type is, which we have already discussed. So this is a rich area, text area rich. And the next one is text area encrypted data type. Text area encrypted data type. Now let's assume that I wanted to capture employee credit card number, because on first we have to give a salary to employee. So maybe I wanted to capture some account number, assume that account number, because we need that for a salary. Account number I wanted to capture. Now, once the employee enter all the details on the user interface, now we have an employee number here, employee, let's say account number, employee account number. Okay, so this is employee account number. When the person is entering, it should show normally, like whatever the number is there, it should show here. Like if the user is entering some number, which is some account number they are entering here. When they are entering it, it should show proper number, whatever the number is there, it should show. But as soon as the click on a save button, as soon as they click on a save button, entire employee account should be encrypted. That means whatever is user, whatever the employee entered on clicking on this tab and clicking on the new button, whatever they have entered here, employee account number, and clicked on the save button. After that, when I view the record, when we view the record, that time, if I wanted to make the entire number to be masked, we do not want anybody to view the account number of that employee. We do not want employee account number or any secret number or anything is there, account number. Basically, whenever we are viewing on the user interface, we do not want to show that number to everybody. We wanted to encrypt that number. Encrypt that number. That means mask it. Don't show anything. Now there are different options we have. Let's go ahead and see. So if you have this type of a scenario, now when the user is entering, show the data, but once it is clicked on save, everything, make it as a encrypted. If you have this kind of a requirement, then go for a text area encrypted data type. Go for text area encrypted data type. Now, this data type allows us to store the sensitive data in encrypted format. And that means it is going to apply a mask when the data is displayed. When the user or when whoever is viewing the record, when they are viewing the record, it should be show them as a mask, like everything star, 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 or XXX, whatever the masked one is there. Now, what are the properties here? Properties are field label, field name, description, help text. This is a common. And the next one is a data owner. Now, by default, whether the employee is creating or the customer is creating, client is creating, doesn't matter. I want a owner should be by default, it should be there. That means you select the owner there. Whoever is creating the record, by default data owner goes with that username. Ideally, we do not do in the real time selecting the owner. And field usage. Field usage is nothing but how this field is going to be used in the real time. Is this going to use as a active? That means this is an active text area encrypted, or is it a duplicate candidate, or is it a hidden? Do you want to hide this because it is already encrypted? Do you want to hide it, or do you want it to activate it, or do you want it to duplicate the candidate? So you can select any of this field usage. And next, data sensitive level. What is the level of sensitive data? How much is it? Now, do you need everything to be masked, or do you need last 4 digits should be shown, or do you want in different format? So that is a data sensitive level. We have a, like whether we wanted to show that in the public, confidence, internal, or a restricted, mission critical, everything. Like you can select. If it is a public, that means it is going to available for everybody. Confidential, that means it is, if you select that confidential, it might be the field is very confident. We should not be sharing that data. And the next one, we have a compliance categorization. Compliance categorization is nothing but we have a very high level secure data. It's a very high level secure data. When I say very high level secure data, the data which is related to HIPAA, or the data which is related to GDPR, the data which is related to children's one. So if you have to store very highly sensitive data in this, in that case, you have to select some options. So Salesforce has given some option here. CCPA is nothing but California Customer Privacy Act. If this data is related to California Consumer Privacy Act, then you have to select CCPA. If it is related to the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, then select COPPA. If it is related to General Data Protection Regulation, then select the GDPR. And if it is related to Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, then you will use the HIPAA. This particular option, this particular property, we use it whenever we are implementing the health application, healthcare application. Usually we use this on the healthcare application. And PCI is a payment card industry. If it is anything related to finance, and if you think that this particular encrypted data which is related to the payment card, then you can select PCI. Then we have another option is called PII, personally identifiable information. So you can select either of one based on whatever the client says. We need to get the information from the client, which one to be selected here. And the next one, required, whether the field is required or not. Now the mask type. Mask type is that, do you want to mask all character? That means everything starts. Or do you wanted to give a last 4 characters clear? Mask type is a pick list field, right? So this is a pick list field. In this pick list field, these are the option, last 4 character clear. That means last 4 characters that I wanted to show. Rest all or should be masked. 1, 2, 3, 4 is the last one. And the next one is a credit card number. Do you wanted to capture in this particular field all the credit card numbers? Then show in the credit card format. What are the credit card format is there? That is a format. And then national insurance number. In case if you wanted to capture the national insurance number, then everything has to be star. Social security number. everything has to be star except the last three digits. And the social security number is social insurance number is also everything star except the last three digit. So this is type of mask type, how you wanted to display the data whenever somebody is viewing the text area encrypted data. How do you want us to show the data? And then we have a mask character. Character is nothing but, do you want, when you are doing the mask, do you want to use the star or do you want to use the X? If you say here X, what will happen? Everything instead of star, it will say that XXS underscore 234. So this way it is going to store instead of a star. So these are the properties, and next one is the length. So these are the properties in the text area encrypted. Any questions on this till now? Okay. Next one is a checkbox data type. So checkbox data type is basically if I wanted to capture employee is this person is referral in the company or not? Is this person a referral or not? Let's assume that that is a checkbox. The referral. So referral means this is a checkbox. It says that if the person is joined as a referral, then it should be checked. Otherwise, it should not check. So whenever by default, it is always unchecked. By default, it is always unchecked. That means here we'll have a checkbox. Here we'll have another checkbox. By default, it is unchecked. Now, whenever user says that, yes, I am a referral, then it should be checked. If it says it is they are referral, then it should be checked. So for that, we use a checkbox data type. In those scenarios, we use a checkbox data type field creation. Now this data type allows us to store the Boolean values. So checked, not checked is nothing but true or false. So basically, if it is a not checked, that means the value of this. If it is a unchecked, if it is a unchecked, that means it is a false. By default, system will take it as a false. If it is a checked, that means yes, the person is, the employee is referral. Then you can check that checkbox. If it is a check, that means it is a true. True and false are a Boolean values. Either it will store true or false value inside the field. Now, properties are field label, field name, description, help text, default value is always unchecked. Unchecked means false. And then auto add to custom report type. These are the one which are for the checkbox data type. And the next one which we are going to do is date data type. Next data type is date. Now, date is nothing but if I wanted to capture, now for example, if I go to the contact object, it's still not updated my arc. It's still showing the client. Okay, so if I go to the contact, and when we are creating the contact, click on a new button. So when we create a contact, that time it is going to give us one option is called birth date. Birth date. Basically, if I wanted to capture employee birth date. What is the employee birth date? Now, another field is I wanted to capture the employee birth date. So in case only the date, if I wanted to capture. So if I wanted to only capture the date, then we use the date data type. And by default, now on this contact, we have a birth date. Now, when I hover or when I click on this, immediately my calendar gets open. Immediately calendar gets open. When I hover out, calendar will be disappear. If I click on this, calendar will appear, and then I can select the number, what are the date that I want. I can select here the date. Now, as soon as I click outside, immediately by default, the calendar will close. I need not to specifically click on this. So if you click on this, automatically the calendar gets open. Now, if you have this kind of scenarios to create a birth date, then we have to use the date data type. So this data type allows us to store the date value in the field by selecting from the pop-up calendar. The calendar which gets pop-up as soon as we highlight that, or as soon as we click on the field, the calendar gets populated. From the calendar, you can select the date. And the properties are field label, field name, description, help text. These are common. And the next one is a required checkbox. If you think that is a required, then select it as make it as a mandatory. And the next one is a time. So this is all about the date data type. Now, next one is a time. Time is basically employee. If I wanted to capture on first day, employee login time. Employee login time, when this person is logged in today, on first day, when he has logged in. So it's basically logged in time. Logged in time. Now, this is just a time I wanted to capture. Time I wanted to capture. So if you wanted to capture only the time, like a logged in time, log out time, right? So if you wanted to capture those scenarios, or if you have this kind of a scenario, then you can go with the time data type. This data type allows us to store the time value inside the field, either 12 or a 24 hours format. That means this logged in, log out, it has two different ways we can store it in the Salesforce. One is a 12 hours format, and the second one is a 24 hours format. 24 hours format. 12 hours means, for example, if it is a 10 a.m., that means it is a morning, right? If I say that 2 p.m., that means it is afternoon. In 12 hours, you will see a.m., p.m. You will see a.m. and p.m. This will be available. Whereas 24 hours, if it says 14 means 2 p.m. If it says if it says 13, that means let's say 15. If it says 15, that means it is 4 p.m. You will not have a AM or PM in 24 hours. Whereas in 12 hours, you have a AM and PM. So in Salesforce, we have an option. You can make it either 12 format or 24 format. So time can be created in format, either H, hours, minute, or you can create it in the format of hours, minute, second, or you can create it as a hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. You can go for hours and minutes, or you can go for hours, minutes, seconds, and you can go for hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. 1 second equal to how many milliseconds?
60.
1000 milliseconds. Right. So let's go on example. So we have a 12 hours format. So 9 a.m., which is nothing but a morning, 4 p.m. is nothing but a around evening or afternoon. 24 hours format is 14:30 means 2:30 p.m. and 18 is nothing but a 6 p.m. So in 24 hours, you will not be able to see PM or AM. It will be just like a 14, 18 like that. So properties are field label, field name, description, help text. These are common. And next we have a required checkbox. If you want the time to be mandatory, login time should be mandatory, logout time should be mandatory, then make it as a required. That's about the time data type. Next one, we have a date time data type. Now, date time data type is basically if you wanted to capture date as well as the time. Now, if you open the contact, when you open the contact, when you go for a detail section, you will see here created date and a time, right? Last modified by is date and time. Here we have a options called date and time. Even if we delete this record, let's go ahead and delete it. If I delete, let me delete the other record. So let me delete this. So if I delete this record, now we wanted to know when the person has deleted. Now they are going to ask me that no, somebody has deleted the record. Now, as an internal Salesforce team members, developers or admin can go to the recycle bin. In the recycle bin, you can check when it was deleted and what is the time it is deleted. What is the time it is deleted? Everything we can check here. So basically, if you have a scenario where you wanted to capture date and time, then we have to go with a scenario called date. We have to go with field called data type called date time field. So this data type allows us to store the both date and timestamp value in the field. And the example created by last modified by deletion date. And the properties are field label, name, and description. Help text is a common. And then we have a required checkbox, which is a mandatory. If you want to make it mandatory, this field, you can use the required checkbox, check it. Now that's all about the date time data type. And the next one, we have a number data type. Now number data type, in case if I wanted to capture a phone number, employee phone number I wanted to capture. So the phone number is everything in a number. It does not have anywhere, it does not have alphanumeric. Whether you go USA, India, Dubai, everywhere, the phone number is a number. Right? If I wanted to capture employee number, I know that this field, this column is always a numeric. Always numeric. Then go for a number data type. So this data type allows us to store the numerical values inside the field along with the decimal number. Now let's take another field which is called as a salary. I have another field, salary. This is also number. But salary sometimes it goes like either 20,000 or sometimes it might come 19, some dot something like this, it will come salary, right? It will have a both just direct numeric value or there is a decimal value. Now in those scenarios, you can go with the number data type also if you have a decimal, because we do not have a separate data type called decimal data type in Salesforce. Only data type we have a number. So if you have any decimal digits or if you have a numerical digits, if you wanted to create a field for those things, go for a number data type. So number data type is allows numerical as well as the decimal digits. And it allows us to store the numerical values which can have a maximum of 18 digit. You can store maximum of 18 digit. Now, if you are storing some salary here or some phone number, now let's say you are adding a 0 and then 99 and some number you are adding. Whatever these leading zeros are there, you are adding some 0, right? Because it's a some number, it starts with number. So whatever the zeros are there, the leading zeros, it will be always removed automatically by the system. Though you are adding the 0, but it will be automatically removed by the Salesforce system for the number data type. And the maximum numbers we can add is 18 digits. Example 13, 12, 5.6, 6.1, what are the numbers you wanted to add? Properties are field label, field name, description, help text, and length, how much length you wanted to keep it. Now, when you are adding a length here, if you are giving a 18 digit length for numeric 18 digit, then it is going to ask how much is for the decimal. How much is for decimal. So if it is you are giving a numeric length is a 18, the decimal will be 0. If the numeric length is 16, then your decimal will be 2. If your numeric length is 15, then what are the rest? Three decimal. Now, if you are giving a numerical 10, then decimal will be 8. So you have to decide it how much you wanted. How much you wanted. So ideally, in real time, decimal maximum we will keep it as a maximum we will keep it as a 16. Sorry, 4 digits or a 3 digit. Maximum we will take a 3 digits. Maximum we will take a 3 digits. That means numerical will be 50. Now that is the length and number of decimal digits, like how much number you wanted. And required checkbox, if it is a required, then select it as check this as so that it will be mandatory, this type of field. Unique checkbox field. So in case if you feel that this number has to be unique, then select that unique checkbox. External ID, this is for, again, this is for third-party system. In case if you are bringing any number related information from the third-party system, select this external ID. And the next one, we have a percentage data type. Percentage data type. Now, percentage data type. Now, let's say that employee is joining in the company. When the person joined the company, how much we offered the percentage? Offered percentage. That means how much we offered on top of whatever the current salary is there. On top of whatever the current salary is there, on top of it, how much percentage did we offer? So that is offered percentage. In case if you wanted, that means I offered 10% on top of the whatever his previous salary, whatever her previous salary is there, on top of it, we gave the 10% hike. So what are the percentage level if you wanted to capture, or it's like in another scenario, if you are implementing a application for the DMart or some supermarket or some product. So we have a field called discount, how much discount you are giving it, 5% discount. So if you have those kind of a scenarios, then you have to go with the percent data type. So this data type allow us to store the numerical values inside the field along with the decimal point. Because sometimes we have a discount 4.99 instead of 5.99, they will say that your discount is 4.99. 4.999, they will say. Similarly, in percentage, offered percentage, sometimes we say 4.5% or 5.6%. Right, so it also have a decimal point. So percent will have a decimal and numerical both. And along with that, after adding the number, the postfix will be always the percentage. So example 10%, like a GST is a 3%. Then we have a SGST, central level GST 1.5. Right, so we have a CSGST. State and central both are 1.5. So central is 1.5, state is 1.5, which is divided, right? So if you, this is kind of a decimal. So like this, we will have a some percent. And can store the numerical values up to maximum of 18 digits, similar to the number data type. If you are specifying the number as a 16, then decimal number of decimal digits should go as a 2 digits. So properties are field label, field name, description, help text, and then we have a length, and also we have a number of decimal digits. So length and number of decimal digits are linked. If you want to make this particular data type field is mandatory, then select this required checkbox. Next one is a currency data type. Now, currency data type is, for example, employee salary. That is one, or else if you go to the opportunity, in the opportunity, we have a field called amount. Field called amount. It always stores the certain amount, right? So this is the currency field. Now, if you wanted to show certain number here along with the symbol, dollar symbol, that means this is a currency. We are talking about currency here. Now, if you have that kind of a scenario, go with currency data type. Now, okay, let's see this currency data type. So this data type allow us to store the currency values along with the decimal digits. So this is also have a decimal digits. So this is the currency, and salary is 20,000. If you enter, it will automatically comes as a $20,000. Now, in the interview perspective, they will say that I do not want this dollar to be visible here. I do not want this dollar to be visible because this application used by the India. This application is not used by the US. So it's actually Indian amount. It's not a dollars. It's actually rupees. Now I want this dollar to be changed to the rupees. Now how can we do that? If you go to the home and we have a company information, let's just go to the company information here. In the company information, click on edit. So you can see time zone. Okay, currency local. Currency local is a English United States, which is USD. Now, if client says that this application is used by the Indian team, there is a client who sits into the India, so they wanted to use. So actual currency should be in the Indian rupees. Now, in case if you wanted to change the currency locally, we have a different options. Like if this application is used by the Dubai, then we wanted to change it to Dubai currency. Or if you wanted to change United Kingdom or a London, right? You Philippine, in case if you wanted to change the Philippines, you can change it. Now, right now, we wanted to change this to the India. So here we have a English India. Okay. And English is the, here you see English India, and there is another one which is says Hindi India. And like this, India will be there, English India, Hindi India, and Kannada India. So like this, we have a Marathi India, whatever the languages we have, Malayalam India, because we have a different languages in our side. So which are the format you want, you can select it. So right now I'm going with the English India. So if I click on save, oh, I changed the default locale. Let's click on cancel. We should change the currency locale, not the default locale. So currency locale is here. Now I wanted to change this to the English India. Okay. So which is INR. Now if I click on a save, warning, changing your corporate currency changes only the currency symbol on all your existing record. No conversion of the rate. That means if you have any dollar amount, the dollar amount will not convert into the Indian rupees. Only the symbol is going to change. Only the symbol is going to change. I'll say that yes, change the symbol only. So instead of a dollar, it says the rupees. Okay, so now it says rupees here. Now let's say in interview, they says that, okay, this application is used by the multiple locations. This application is used by the US team, this application used by the Indian team, this application. That means we have a client in different places. Client is in India, client is in US, client is in German, right? Client is in UK, everywhere we have. Singapore, right? So we have a different places our client. Now, based on the how the client logins, like based on the client location login, I wanted to show the symbol here based on their currency. Now, if I am logging in the application in Singapore, so it should show the Singapore symbol. If I'm logging this application from India, it should show the India symbol. If I'm logging from the Dubai, it should show Dubai symbol. Now, in case if I want that kind of a flexibility, then we have a option below the currency settings. Inside the currency settings, we have a activate multiple currencies. Activate multiple currencies. If you activate this, you cannot deactivate. If you activate this, you cannot deactivate. Deactivate cannot be done. So in case if you have a clients in a multiple places, if you wanted to show the amount, the symbol, the currency symbol related to that, then select this. Activate multiple currency. But if I activate it, we cannot turn off that. So it will impact the entire, whatever the multiple currencies are there, everything will be impacted. Now, the interviewer says that, how do you know that from where the client is accessing the Salesforce application? How they know it? How the Salesforce knows it? So we have some option called login history. If you go to the login history, and we have an option called here, download. If you click on a download, or if you view this, okay. So if you open this CSV file, Okay. So you see here, okay, it's opening. Username, the login time. Okay, perfect. So this is a CSV file. In this CSV file, I'll be having what is the IP address and from where they have logged in and whether it is successful or not, what is the browser, which browser they have accessed and what is the platform they have accessed, and client version, if there is any client version, API type, API version, what is the login URL, and the TLS protocol, everything they are going to capture. So from where you have a country, United Arab. So if you are logging in with some different location, it will give the different location. Okay. So right now for me, it is giving the UAE. But if you are trying to log in from the different country code is AE here. Now, subdivision, it says Abu Dhabi. Okay, because maybe I have logged in with a different network. So here another one, it says Dubai, right? So it's Dubai, and then we have a IP address. This is a latitude. Latitude, longitude is captured based on, I guess it is based on the internet connection. And then HTTP method, what is the method and what is login set. So basically you have a country code here, country. So based on these two options, Salesforce will know from where you are logging in. From where you are logging in. Right, so they will know that based on that, you can see the amount symbol will be reflected. Amount symbol will be reflected. Now, it allows the maximum of 18 digits, similar to the numeric. It also has a decimal digit. Each currency value will get the prefix with the currency, currently configured the currency symbol. So whenever it shows the amount, first it shows the symbol and then amount. And then we have a properties, field label, field name, description, help text. These are the 4 fields. And the length, how much length, similar to the number. Like if you are giving a numeric length 16, then the decimal digit should be 3. If you want to make this field as a mandatory, currency data type field as a mandatory, then check this required checkbox. And if you feel that this is a unique field, then it should be check this unique checkbox. And we can change the currency symbol as I have shown there. Based on the, by going to the company information, you can change the currency symbol. Example, English, India, and we can activate the checkbox, activity multiple currencies. But if you activate it, you cannot deactivate this option. Now, that's all for today. So what did we learn so far? What did we learn so far?
Fields, standard fields, rename labels and tabs, custom fields, ways to list out the fields.
And
Data
Data
types.
types and properties.
Data types,
Okay.
text data type, text area long, text area rich, checkbox, date time, number, percentage, currency.
okay, so first we have seen the what is fields, and fields are divided into the 2 types, standard field and custom field. And in the standard field, if we wanted to change the field label name, we can go to the rename tab and label. We can change the standard field name or a custom object name. And we have seen the custom field. And then after that, what are the ways to view the fields? And after this, Garner limits we have seen. What are the Garner limits here for the developer edition? How many custom fields can be created?
500. 500.
Unlimited,
800.
800.
800.
right?
800.
Then we have seen the data types. What is the data type?
It represents the type of data.
While
Type of data or values can be home.
To show the value, what's the value?
right, what type of a data that we should store in the field decided by the data type. Now, what are the data types here?
Text.
Text
area.
area, text area long,
Text encrypted.
Text
long,
area.
long.
text area rich, long,
Text area rich.
text area rich,
Text area encrypted.
text box,
Text encrypted.
Text box. Who is saying text
Encrypted.
text box I say.
encrypted?
Checkbox.
Date.
Text box date.
Date,
Date.
time,
Time. Date. Time.
Date.
date, time, number,
Number.
percentage,
Percentage and currency.
Currency.
These all we have seen today.
we have seen.
Tomorrow we are going to see URL, email, pick list.
Pick.
In pick list, we have another one which is called multi-pick list. And
geolocation,
geolocation,
auto number.
auto number. These we will see tomorrow, and then we will create a custom field. I'll be creating only 1-2 fields, and then I'll give a homework where you have to create at least 10 fields or 20 fields. Okay, so that's all for today. When do we use text area encrypted?
It is insensible.
It is for hidden text for PAN card.
Secure data like account number,
passwords.
PAN number, passwords.
Right. What is text area rich?
That will add
Like
some
styling and
styling.
like bold Italian.
Like in Gmail, PM mode attached.
Some external CSS we have been used.
Okay. So what is the difference between the text area long and text area? What is the differences between the text area and text area long?
In text area, we can add only single line. In text area long, we can add multiple lines.
Right, the view is a different. How much character limit is there, text area?
255.
250.
Text area? How much length? What is the maximum length for the text area and text area long?
255 for text area.
For both of them.